Alright everybody, what is going on? It's Voodoo51292 and welcome. The time is here. I will be revealing now my early present for my birthday for 2012. I've been hyping this up for a couple of weeks now, and this is the item that could potentially spawn a new channel for me here on YouTube. I have not had a chance to actually see if it's going to work yet, and I'll explain why in the course of the video. But, alright, so, anybody with their last minute guesses, get them ready to see if you are correct. And I'm going to walk over here and pick it up. Now the first thing you notice is that I've actually cleared off the area where I usually put my TV, in this case my HD monitor when I have my TV at school. So you must know that this must be kind of a big thing that I need to display up on a pedestal. So if that last hand helps you, go for it. So here it is. Walk in front of the camera. I'm going to pick it up and place it on the table. Alright, looks good. So, ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the present. This is my brand new Orion Starblast 6-inch astro reflector telescope. And I actually have to give a couple of people credit on YouTube for actually not necessarily guessing exactly what the present was, but they did guess what the present was about. So credit to the first guy who was actually, I have to give props to, his YouTube name is Wee10. And it's a W with a bunch, like 12 E's after it. And he actually guessed it correctly on the comments of Voodoo's Brew episode 5. You'll remember if you watched that I gave a hint that said the present was way out there. And he commented and said, way out there, it must have to do with space. Well, congratulations, you are correct. It does. And I also have to give Brandon credit, because after many attempts by him and a couple of extra hints given by me, he put the pieces together and also said, well, it's probably about space. And that is true, but nobody actually guessed exactly what the present was, so I can't give mad props to anybody. But still, good job actually guessing what it was about. So this is probably going to be a rather longish video, but I hope that you stay with me through it, because I'm going to go over some important things. First of all, I'm going to talk about this particular telescope, alright? Pretty much the specs, some of the things that it can do, and also talk about, which I'm sure people are wondering, how did I end up with a big-ass telescope as my present this year, and kind of what spawned that. And then when I'm done talking about that, I'm going to talk about the new channel that hopefully I'll be able to launch using this telescope, which you probably can guess what that would entail, but I'm going to go into some more detail with you in the second half of this video. So to start, how did this happen? How did I wind up with this as a present this year when I've really never talked about an interest in astronomy in my YouTube channel or anything like that? Well, the truth is that I really didn't have that much of a serious interest until this year. And I basically enrolled in an astronomy elective course at the university that I attend. I needed a general elective, and a lot of them suck, and I said, oh, astronomy, that sounds really cool, I'm going to take that. So I took it, and as I went to class and learned, I figured out, wow, I really like this stuff. I think it's really interesting, because of course I'm a giant nerd. I play video games on YouTube, so of course I like space. And at the university there's actually an observatory, and once a month usually, one day a month, they have a public viewing night at the observatory where anybody who wants to go can go to the observatory, and they look mainly at planets, a couple of different planets, and the moon. And I've seen Jupiter, Mars, and Venus through the telescope, and also the moon a couple of times. And I went to 2 of these sessions, and after doing that I said, wow, I really like this. And I've been struggling as of late to think of really good presents. I couldn't even think of a really good present to get this year for Christmas. So I said, I don't know what to get for my birthday. And then I started considering a telescope. And I said, you know, there's so many cons to it. I'm sorry, not cons, pros. There's so many pros to it because on the one hand, you know, I really enjoyed my time at the observatory, but we only looked at, you know, a couple of things, the planets mainly and the moon. I said with my own telescope, not only could I look at all of the planets whenever I wanted, but I could also look at things, other things in space, such as star clusters, such as distant galaxies, such as nebulae. And I said, wow, I really want to look at those things through a telescope, but they don't do that at the public viewing night. And I could have the convenience of doing it whenever I'd like. Also, it wouldn't be a present just for myself. My entire family and all my friends would really think it's awesome and would enjoy me getting this present, because I could share it all with them at the same time. I don't have to wait one day a month to view it. On top of that, not only is that a pro, but the fact that I could potentially spawn an entire new YouTube channel in a way that I haven't seen anyone else do it on YouTube would also be really amazing. So I said, well, everything really adds up. I'm going to get a telescope. And I did a lot of research, and originally I was only supposed to get a 4.5 inch, which is the aperture, which is this way. It's not this way, obviously this is a lot longer than 6 inches, but it's the length of the inside of it. I was only supposed to get a 4.5 inch originally. And since my dad got so excited about it, he said, well, I'll pay the extra money and we can get a step up, which is this one, which is the 6 inch. And the reviews for this thing were outstanding. I mean, everybody who's reviewed this has said this is an amazing telescope for beginners, and you can really see a lot of good things with this telescope. So we went ahead, my dad spent the money, and here we are with this. So that's the story of how I got a telescope for Christmas. Now, to talk about this particular telescope, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the camera and actually going to hold it and kind of freehand it here to get a close-up on some of the things. And I apologize that it's kind of dark. I don't have good lighting back here in this part of my room, but anyway, as you can see, the Orion Starblast 6, well, it says /6i, that's a different kind, that's an automated version of the same telescope, but this is just the regular 6 reflector telescope. And it's got a lot of cool features. So first of all, as you can see, it's actually a pretty decent size, and it actually, if you can see here, it rotates on a stand that rotates up and down and also side to side like this. And to show you some of the cooler features of it, first of all, let me explain to you a little bit about what a reflector telescope is as compared to a refractor telescope. Those are the two main kinds of telescopes. And first of all, a refractor telescope is the kind that you're probably used to seeing, the long, thin, skinny ones. Those are probably the ones that you're used to looking at. Those are called refractors. And the way they work is that they put a convex lens, they suspend it in the middle of the telescope. And what happens is light comes in the telescope, it hits that lens, and it gets focused through the lens to a single point on the back of the telescope called the focal point. From the focal point, it gets magnified into the eyepiece, and therefore you see the image. That's why the eyepieces on refractors are directly on the back, because light takes a straight path to the eyepiece. Now, there are some cons to refractor telescopes, and they've kind of gone out of style recently. And one of the main issues with it is that you're limited on the amount of size that you can make the telescope. And this is important because the bigger the telescope, the more light can get into the telescope and accumulate, and the further you can see, the more distant objects you can see, because you gain a lot more light. And you get more detailed images of closer things if you have a wider, what they call aperture telescope. And if you're limited in size with the refractor, that kind of hurts. And the bigger the telescope is, the longer the telescope has to be in order to focus all that light down to the focal point. And the reason you're limited with size is because you're limited by the size of the refractor lens, because you cannot support the lens from the bottom. You have to support the lens strictly on the side, because obviously the bottom has to be left open for light to pass through the lens. And so if you get too big of a lens, it's not going to be able to be supported inside of the telescope. And so you're limited from that area. Also, the image that you get out of refractor telescopes tend to be a bit blurry. And the reason behind this is because different light waves have different wavelengths, and they bend differently through the lens. And so what winds up happening is that you don't have all the different wavelengths of light being bent at exactly the same speed through the lens. So when it gets to the eyepiece, the light waves are bent not exactly perfectly to where you'd like them, and therefore that results in kind of a blurry image. So that's the reason I didn't go with a reflector. A refractor. This is a reflector, and I did go with a reflector. These are the kind of telescopes that are starting to dominate now in the professional area, and they work differently, and I'll show you how they work. Well, let me explain it, then I'll show you. A reflector telescope works through mirrors instead of a lens, and what happens is that there's a big mirror on the back of this, and that I will show you now. Okay, you can clearly see that. There's a big mirror back at the bottom of this telescope, and what happens is light goes in to the telescope here, it hits that back mirror, and then it comes up and hits, you see this piece, it's very dark, I apologize, but this piece that's hanging down here is actually a secondary mirror. So it bounces off the primary mirror onto the secondary mirror, which bounces it back to, you see that silver piece there? That's where the eyepiece is, and it bounces the light back into the eyepiece, which is located here. And obviously this solves a bunch of problems. First of all, you can make the telescopes a lot bigger because you can support that back mirror from the bottom, because light just bounces off of it. So you can make it a lot bigger because you can more easily support the mirror. Also, you don't have to worry about different wavelengths of light being bent through a lens differently because it's simply reflected. So you get a much clearer, much crisper image. And because of this, you're able to see, again, like I talked about, deeper, fainter objects in the sky and get a more clear image because you can make these telescopes a lot bigger in aperture. And this one is actually 6 inches wide across, which is bigger obviously than the one I was going to get, which was only 4.5 inches, which means with this telescope I can see even deeper objects and get even more detail. Okay. The only downside to this telescope versus a refractor telescope is that this telescope actually inverts the image that you're looking at. So the image that you see when you look in the eyepiece of this telescope is actually going to be upside down from what the image truly is. But when you're looking at objects in space, it really doesn't make much of a difference. You just really can't use this kind of telescope to look at ground-based things. You can't really do bird watching or plane watching with this type of telescope because it's going to flip the image upside down. But other than that, you know, it's definitely the better way to go, and definitely the one that I wanted to get. Okay. Now it looks very, very big, but actually the weight is actually quite light. It's only about, I would say, between 20 and 25 pounds fully assembled. The only downside with this telescope is that they did not put a handle on it, so it can get pretty awkward to bring up, which you probably saw me struggling just out of awkwardness to bring this thing up here and set it up. But let's talk about some of the features. First of all, it comes with these, it comes with two actually very high quality, hold on, let me switch. My left hand's my weaker hand, I can't undo the screws. Here we go. Two very high quality eyepiece lenses. Now this is, they're both from Sirius Plessey. Be nice if it was in the frame of the camera. And this is heavy metal, okay, heavy metal lens. This is actually the 25 millimeter, which I believe is the wide field. The wide field image, not the close in one. So I'll put that back into the slot. And it comes with an attachable eyepiece rack here in the back. I apologize, it's going to be dark. But it also comes with this. Let me get it out of the rack. Ugh. Okay. This much shorter 10 millimeter eyepiece, which I believe is the closer zoomed in. One of them is zoomed in, one of them is far range. I believe that the 10 millimeter is the closer one. So those are your two high quality eyepieces that it comes with. Alright, now it also comes with this, which is really neat actually. This is called the Orion Easy Finder 2, and what it is it's actually a laser red dot reflex light, similar to what you'd see on like military grade assault rifles and that kind of thing. Of course, you know from watching video games what the red dot sights look like, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this on the camera, but I'm going to turn the sight on, and of course it doesn't actually emit a red laser straightforward. You can only see it by looking in the sight, and I don't know, oh yeah, look, see? You can see it right in the camera. You see that? It's looks like a military grade red dot reflex sight inside of this thing. And what you actually do is you aim that at the object in the sky that you want to view, And when that's lined up, you know that your telescope is lined up to that, and you can look in the eyepiece and see it. So you don't have to move the telescope around looking for what you want to see. You can just use the finder. And that's basically what comes with it. Also, they come with a really nice program called Starry Night, which is basically like it gives you a virtual simulation of the sky where you are. You can put in your zip code, it tracks it to the time of day it is, and shows you exactly what's in the sky, and shows it in real time, which is really awesome for help finding objects in the sky that you want to view. So that's basically the telescope, how I got it, and some information about telescopes that hopefully you found useful. And I'm already at 15 minutes. I told you it was going to be long. So for a little bit longer, maybe 10 more minutes or so, I'm going to put it back on the tripod now. I want to talk a little bit about the channel that hopefully I'm going to be spawning using this telescope. And unfortunately, let me screw in the eyepiece before I forget, I was not able to test it tonight because the weather here actually really sucks right now. It's completely clouded and overcast and raining, and it's been that way all night, and it sucks. But so let me tell you about the channel, which you probably could guess what I'm going to do with it. What I'm going to be doing, hopefully, is I'm going to be taking this and looking at all sorts of objects in the sky. Planets, the moon, stars, Messier objects, which are basically a list of 110 deep space objects, the best and brightest deep space objects compiled by Charles Messier back in, I believe, the 1700s when he was observing with a pretty crappy telescope. But those things include distant galaxies, planetary nebulae, star clusters. So I'm going to be looking at all this kind of stuff through this telescope. And what I'm going to do, hopefully, if it works, is I'm going to put the camera probably on the tripod and put it inside this eyepiece and basically film through the eyepiece what I'm looking at. Now, it's been done before. That's been done before. Not by a lot. There's not that many videos like that up on YouTube of just that. But all of those videos I've noticed are completely silent. They will show you what they're looking at. Sometimes they'll usually use their hands so it's shaking all over so it makes you sick. They'll show you what you're looking at, and they won't say anything about it. They won't give you any facts about it. They'll just say, they may say something like, "This is Jupiter," and they'll just show you, and that's it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the technique that I use on my YouTube channel, on this channel, Voodoo51292, to that channel. And what I'm going to be doing is not only am I going to be showing you whatever object I'm looking at, but I'm also going to be giving you commentary, live commentary like I do with my video game playthroughs, about what you're looking at. I'm going to be telling you interesting facts, information about the planet, about the galaxy, about the nebula, and basically taking you through what you're actually looking at, so that you're not just sitting there, you know, staring at an object and not really knowing. Then you have to go on Wikipedia to try to figure out what it is. I'm going to be giving you interesting facts and talking to you the whole time, kind of like a guide. And not only that, but I'm going to be very personal with the channel like I am here. And I'm probably making some update videos. And I will be taking requests from people. If people like that style, which hopefully you do, I'll invite people to request space objects for me to view and do episodes on. And of course, depending, because I have to try this thing out, obviously it has limitations. It's not a professional grade telescope. It's a pretty good one for what I want to do, but it's not professional, so I can't look at like the faintest thing in the night sky. But depending on what I can see with this telescope and you know, what's obviously in the sky at that time, I'll either say, no, unfortunately, I can't view that, my telescope can't see that, or it's not out right now. Or I'll say, you know what, sure enough, I'll test it out, and if I am able to see it, I'll do an episode for you, and give you a shout out on the episode if you requested it. So that's what I hope to do on the channel with this, and I've heard reports that say with this thing you can see easily the rings of Saturn, the cloud bands on the planet Jupiter along with all of its moons. I've actually even heard that you can see the polar ice caps on the planet Mars through this, and you can also see all of the Messier objects, like the big far-off galaxies like the Andromeda Galaxy, the Whirlpool Galaxy. different nebulae like the Orion Nebula, the Lagoon Nebula, those type of things, all with this telescope. Of course, I haven't used it. I just received it today and put it together, and we'll see what the weather does. No test footage so far. Now, tonight it's about, what time is it? It's almost about 11 p.m. and according to the weather report, sometime after midnight, the skies, they say, should start clearing up. Now, since it's a Friday and I have nothing to do tomorrow, it's a Saturday, and I've been waiting for this for a long time, I may try to pull a late nighter tonight, and if the weather does break, I'm going to try to bring this thing out and maybe do some test footage for you guys. If that happens, I would check back tomorrow morning, because it's probably going to be pretty late by the time I bring it down there, set it up, film, and then get it uploaded to YouTube. So I would just check back tomorrow, but I will be tweeting up tonight if in fact I'm able to take test footage. If not, hopefully I can do it another night this weekend or something like that, but I do have a 10-day spring break vacation coming up where I'll have a bunch of time to use it. So there will be test footage coming shortly, and when I do the test footage, I'm going to be uploading it to this channel, Voodoo 51292. You will not have to go to a new channel to see the test footage. I'm only going to put good quality videos over there on the actual channel. I'll put the test footage up on this channel and get your guys' feedback, and I really hope that people leave feedback when they see the test footage to see, to see if people like this idea. And but I don't know, it could happen tonight. Right now the weather's real bad though, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know if the weather's going to break, how late it's going to be before I can actually see anything. So I don't know, we'll have to see. But if I do it, I will tweet up, let everybody know, at Voodoo51292 on Twitter. Check it out tomorrow if there's test footage. If not, I'll be giving you more information soon. As soon as I get the test footage, and if it's a success, I will be opening up the new channel, which I've decided to call Voodoo Astronomy. It's going to be the name of the new channel, and there's going to be all kinds of cool stuff up there. So I want to get out there, get test footage as soon as I can. Right now the weather's just not permitting. Now, one last thing before I go, because I know this video is getting long. 22 minutes. I've had longer videos. The thing that gives me hope about this being able to work, is as you can see, this eyepiece has a really wide field of view, and that's a good thing, because I've seen eyepieces that the eyepiece is literally like a pinhole, and they expect you to get your eye in there to look. Now, this is obviously a very comfortable eyepiece to put your eye on. You don't have to squint through a pinhole, but also, as you can see, I can set the camera up. What are we looking at inside the... There's nothing to look at, but I can set this up, okay, to look inside of the eyepiece. What's confusing me is what they're actually even showing in the eyepiece, because I don't know what that's not what I see when I look in the eyepiece. But anyway, I can film, as you can see, in the eyepiece. It's comfortable, big field of view, so that, I think it's filming a reflection. Oh, yep, it's filming a reflection. Okay, that's what it's doing. But anyway, it's a nice, clear field of view for me to, to look at. And so, with that, I should be able to get the camera within the field of view to view whatever I'm looking at. But I won't know that. I won't know how the brightness acts or anything like that until I take test footage. So until then, I can't give you that much information about how this is going to work. All I can do is hope that it will. Now, another thing that gives me confidence is that, like I said, there are videos on YouTube done in that same fashion, with just holding a camera up to the eyepiece from this very telescope and from the one that I was originally going to get, the 4.5, which uses the exact same eyepiece. So it can be done. So I don't see a reason why I shouldn't be able to do it with this camera, but I don't know, there could be a snafu or something like that. So this is interesting. There's a piece here that's not on here, and I'm wondering why. I don't know, it's very weird. It came like that. I didn't do that, it came like that, that's weird. But anyway, that's the news. That's what's going on. This is the present. So hopefully you guys find it interesting. I really hope you're not disappointed. It would probably be a lot more exciting if I had test footage to go along right with it, to show you guys what the new channel would look like, but I can't right now. So hopefully tonight the weather clears and I can take this bad boy out for a spin. If not, hopefully coming very soon. So thank you guys very much. Please leave your feedback, your comments, to let me know. And also, I want to check real quick that I didn't screw up that poor guy's name on YouTube. I believe the numbers are 10, and stupid me forgot before I started this video to actually check his name. I believe that 10 was in fact the digits. Yes, okay. We 10. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7 E's, and then 10. So I did get his name right. So congratulations to him and Brandon for at least figuring out what it's about. Hope you guys like it, and more information to come. Check tomorrow morning. There may be test footage, there may not, but I'll keep you in the loop. So see you guys later.